A viewer named Tina sent me this story, and she swears that she still can't sleep with her bedroom door open because of what she saw on FaceTime this night. Now, this happened to Tina back in 2022, and she had just started dating this new guy. And you know how it is in the beginning, right? Of any relationship. They were texting constantly, they were talking on the phone every night, and eventually they started falling asleep together on FaceTime. I know, adorable. Now, according to Tina, they'd been doing it for a few weeks now. They lived a little bit apart, so they weren't able to see each other every night. So it was something that they did, right? But nothing weird had ever happened. There were no paranormal experiences, no haunted house stories, no strange noises, just two people who really, really liked each other. And on this one night, they were talking on the phone till about 2 a.m. Both of them were absolutely exhausted from work, and eventually Tina remembers setting her phone up on her nightstand, plugged into her charger, and it was facing her bed. And her boyfriend, he did the exact same thing, just like they did every night. And she could still see him lying in bed on the screen. They both said goodnight to one another, and she drifted off to sleep, and so did he. She doesn't really know exactly what woke her up a little while later on. She said it wasn't a sound, it wasn't a dream, it wasn't anything. It was just that strange feeling that people get sometimes, right? Like that sudden jolt awake, almost like your body knows something is wrong before your mind can even catch up with it, that type of thing. And at first she kept her eyes closed, and she didn't look over at her phone really right away. She was kind of looking around the room, but then when she did look back at the phone, the FaceTime call was still active, and she could see her boyfriend asleep in the larger part of the screen. And he was completely motionless. His room was dark, and she remembers like smiling for a second because she thought that it was kind of cute that he was still on the phone. And then she noticed in the little corner box of her own camera feed, she could see herself lying in bed. Only though, something didn't look right. So she was still groggy, and her eyes hadn't fully adjusted to the darkness yet. She blinked a few times, and that's when she realized that there was something standing behind her on the screen. She could see it. And not next to the bed, not like in the doorway like that, but it was directly behind her. And it was close enough that she should have felt someone breathing on her neck. Like it was that close, like right here. And Tina describes it as being impossibly tall. She said it on the screen, it looked like it was maybe 7 feet or taller. It had very, very wide shoulders. There was no visible face other than just like this darkness of like a mass, is what she said. And it was darker than the dark room that was around it. And she said it almost looked like a silhouette that was cut out of reality itself. Now, at first, she convinced herself that she was still half asleep until it began to move, and she watched it lean slightly toward her sleeping body, and then its head turned, and as if it suddenly realized that she was awake. And she said the movement was unnaturally fast, kind of like jerky, like frames skipping in a video. And then in a split second, it darted sideways out of the camera frame, and it was completely gone. Tina, she screamed, she jumped out of bed, and she turned on every light in the house and of course in the room. Her heart was pounding so hard that she thought she was gonna pass out. She was starting to hyperventilate. Now, she searched the entire room. She searched closets, bathrooms, behind, the shower curtain, under the beds, behind furniture. She even checked the front and the back doors to make sure that they were locked. And everything was locked. There was nothing missing. Nobody was there. And she eventually grabbed her phone and she looked back at the FaceTime. And her boyfriend was wide awake now at this time. And, he was panicking, and he was asking, what had happened. And when she explained what she saw, he went completely silent, because according to him, he'd woken up about 30 seconds or so earlier, right before she had screamed. And he had been staring at his screen, looking at her at this time, and he was trying to decide whether he should wake her up or not, because from his side of the phone call, he thought he saw someone standing behind her too, but he didn't know if it was just like a shadow or like a trick of the lighting. Now, After that, neither of them slept the rest of the night, of course, and Tina says that they eventually stopped falling asleep on FaceTime as a result of this. And to this day, she refuses to look at her own camera feed if she wakes up during a call by accident, or if she's watching her phone, whatever. But, she still wonders, if she hadn't opened her eyes when she did, how long would that thing, or whatever it was, have stayed standing there watching her sleep? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.